From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Cascade Paint & Supply is Reading's oldest family-owned paint store, established in 1953. We are the largest Dunn Edwards dealer in the nation, and most of our products are made in the U.S. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff are ready to answer your questions and help you today.
Happy Friday evening to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining me here this evening. And I want to tell you about the ticket giveaway we have for the Red Bluff Roundup. I've got 2 Friday night tickets for next Friday's event here. And to enter to win those tickets, send me an email to mkrueger@weathernorcal.com. And even easier, if you go to weathernorcal.com and then go to the navigation menu at the very top, it says Contact. Click on that, and then you can send me a message there as well. 1 entry per household, and announcing and showing the winner here next week, Wednesday, on Coffee with Krueger live at 6:30 in the morning. So be sure to watch then if you enter to win those tickets. Here's a look at your weather headlines for your Friday night. So here we have areas of overnight showers and possible thunderstorms. We'll get into the detail on the footprint of where I expect most of that activity to be, should it even develop. Potential for gusty north winds over the weekend, especially for the valley and for the north coast. Everywhere else, yeah, a little breezy, probably not as bad though. Dry and warm going into next week with the possible showers by the end of next week, especially in the mountains. I think the chances may be a bit slimmer in the valley, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the deeper dive forecast. But before we get to that, here is your Krueger's Quickcast for your Friday, April 11th. Now for tonight, you can see first where that footprint is expected to be. I think as you head south, the farther south you go, the slimmer the chances. So Red Bluff, most likely not. Manton, probably not. As you head into Cottonwood, Reading, all right, maybe a chance for an isolated thunderstorm here. But I think the better chances will be in northeastern Shasta County and then making its way into Modoc County later tonight and even into the early morning hours of tomorrow. All right, so out the door tomorrow morning, I think for the most part, we are going to be looking at completely dry conditions by this point. Even for places where we are seeing those thunderstorms developing, especially often in places like Modoc County, mainly just looking at the mostly cloudy skies at that point here. But I do expect clearing skies for most of us. A little bit cooler because it will be a little bit more in the way of clear skies in the morning, and that will allow us to see most likely of course, those slightly cooler temperatures as a result, but still overall not too terribly cold. All right, so here's a look at Futurecast. Now, this is looking at 8 o'clock tonight. You can see some development here off towards northeastern Shasta County down into southern portions of Siskiyou County. Now, as we go into tonight, we still may see a little bit of development here around the Reading area, say Palisadro, City of Shasta Lake, maybe even as far south as Anderson and Cottonwood. But you can see most of it's off to the north and to the east and also into northeastern Shasta County. By the time we get into midnight, now we're seeing the tail end of that around the Bernie area, heading northeastward into Modoc County, where we've got those showers and possible thunderstorms. Now, they may get a little bit stronger by the early morning hours for Modoc County, including the Alturas area. That will probably continue to about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning before it finally dries out entirely. Now, this batch of clouds and this energy will shift to the south. By midday, we're seeing the clouds off to the east, but no rain just yet. And by the way, notice everyone else seeing those sunny skies for Saturday. Then by Saturday afternoon, we may see some showers developing off to the east and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm, but everyone else is still dry. And of course, that continues into your Saturday night with dry conditions. And of course, Sunday, more sunshine across the board. The winds are also something we got to watch here for tomorrow. As mentioned, there'll be a bit breezy, gusty here, especially for the north and west side of the valley here for tomorrow afternoon for the coast. And it looks like even some of the eastern mountains seeing some gusty winds here for your Saturday afternoon, and that'll probably go into your Sunday as well. So for your Saturday, there you can see temperatures still most likely just dodging that 80-degree mark, but still plenty of sunshine. Temperatures in the 50s and even some 60s for the higher elevations. And it looks like for the coast, temperatures upper 50s for those daytime highs. All right, so let's take a look at that 7-day outlook. It's dry for the valley over the weekend and dry through most likely next week. I am watching the potential for Thursday, Friday, maybe some showers, especially in the higher elevations, but we'll take a closer look at that in your deeper dive here in just a bit. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast for the coast, inland and for Trinity County, also mainly dry through at least the middle of next week. But again, we've got to watch that Thursday and Friday time frame. For Siskiyou, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains, now we're mainly dry for Modoc County. It's the early morning hours. You may see some leftover showers. Otherwise, dry through the day on Saturday for Alturas. And for Susanville, in particular, I'd say parts of Lassen County and Plumas County, you could see an afternoon shower, maybe even a thunderstorm for Saturday. Otherwise, it will be dry to start off the day. Dry for the rest of the weekend and getting a little bit warmer. And as I mentioned, around Thursday, Friday, that's the time frame we've got to watch here for the potential for, especially in the mountains, seeing that potential for some shower activity. Before we get to the deeper dive forecast, you can track any storms that are heading our way from the free Weather NorCal app. And really, the best way to explain it is if you're looking for an app that's local to our area, this is going to be the best resource for you, bottom line. Just go to your app store, search for Weather NorCal, make sure there's a space between Weather and NorCal, search for Weather NorCal, and download the app for free on your iPhone and your Android device. All right, we're going to compare two forecast models. I want to show you actually the HRRR forecast to start off. Now, what the HRRR forecast does is it updates every hour. It takes the current conditions, puts it into the forecast model and the latest forecast model data as well. So we tend to see this update every hour. So to give you an idea what it looks like as we go into about 9, 10 o'clock at night, you see again the southern tip of that is right around the Redding area northeastward, but to the south of that it looks fairly dry, but we could be looking at some showers here. Now what you'll notice about the HRRR forecast model, it's not nearly as aggressive with even the development of thunderstorms. So we're just looking at a few stray sprinkles, light showers, especially in northeastern Shasta County, making its way into Modoc County by midnight tonight. It gets a little more aggressive by 3 a.m. There you can see some of the thunderstorms that we can see possibly develop in Modoc County. But at this point, we're seeing dry conditions everywhere else outside of Modoc County. Then 5, 6 o'clock in the morning Saturday, maybe a leftover shower, but really things are drying out at that point. And then of course, we're drying things out for the rest of the day. All right, now we take a look at our in-house forecast model. And really, again, this is on par for the most part with the placement of the rain and possible thunderstorms, but the intensity, that's where they differ a little bit here. So 8 o'clock, all right, here's 10 o'clock. So remember, the HRRR forecast model was about in line with what we're seeing right here. So here's the situation. I'd say that around Redding northward, if you're out and about and you run into a stray sprinkle, don't be surprised. Now, there could be an off chance for the development of some heavier rain, maybe, just maybe a thunderstorm. But at this point, I think it'll be mainly in the form of some sprinkles and light showers from Redding northward, eastward, and making its way into the Bernie area, for example. And then better chances for some heavier rainfall for eastern Siskiyou County and Modoc County, even at 10 o'clock tonight. But you see, most of the energy by midnight is now off to the north and east. So around Bernie into Modoc County, still that chance for some rain, possible thunderstorm as well. And much like that of the HRRR, by around 3 o'clock in the morning, we start to see the thunderstorm activity get a little bit more impressive. So I do think that in the early morning hours, we may hear some rumbles of thunder if you are in the Modoc County area. But by this point, much like that of HRRR, everyone else is dry, if you'll notice. Then we go into Saturday morning, and this model pretty much takes all the rain out at this point. So you see this energy shift to the south, and you see that? Partly cloudy skies, but still dry at midday. Now, everyone else is looking at sunny skies. Even the coast, through the morning, even in the morning hours, it is going to be clear going into the morning hours. Now, there you can see 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a chance for a stray shower, possible thunderstorm, especially in southwestern portions of Lassen County and into Plumas County as well. That continues into the evening hours, but then it dries out after that as we go into Saturday night. All right, here's Sunday morning. Look at that, Sunday morning, you've got clear skies even for the coast. We're going to keep it sunny through the day on Sunday, and of course, those warmer temperatures entering the picture as well. Now, I don't want you to take these forecast rain totals to be exact, but what I really want to show you is the footprint of where most of the rain is going to be. And really, this looks like it's going to be the case here, right around the Redding area, northeastward. And I think the bulk of any measurable rainfall will be into Modoc County. Don't think this is happening. I'm not quite sure where that's coming from, but I don't see much in the way of rain, if anything, from now really through the first part of the weekend. So to kind of show you, and this is something I talked about a little bit earlier today, a lot of times we get these afternoon convective, basically, let's just start this way. In order for showers and even thunderstorms to develop, you need rising air. Now, a lot of times we talk about convective showers and thunderstorms, and what that is daytime heat heating the surface. That heat at the surface then rises. That's what naturally happens with that heat, right? That heat rises into the colder air aloft. That's instability, and that's when we see showers and possible thunderstorms develop. But it's not just convection that can create that rising air. Sometimes you can have these disturbances, as we mentioned, that can also create that upward lift. So this is something that we look at here in the upper levels of the atmosphere. These white lines are basically 500 millibars. This is approximately an idea of where the jet stream is. So it's kind of doing something like this. Now these lines, you see how they're different colors? As you start getting in the reds, very fast winds, and then into those brownish colors, even faster. So what happens is you go from these lighter winds to faster winds, and what happens is you tend to get what's called upper level divergence. And what that is the air kind of spreading apart, and underneath it, the air lifts. That's the lift that you need. So typically you see that divergence, as I was mentioning, as you kind of see right here, is a trough, right? This is what it's called, a trough. You take a line and then you go to the east side of that trough, and typically it's in that area, somewhere within the east side of that trough, that you tend to see that upper level divergence and that upward lift that you need. So I think that's where we're going to see that potential for that lift. Now, just how far south we can get that lift, say around Redding, Red Bluff, or Chico, just how far south that goes has yet to be determined. But again, the models are all really picking up on around Redding, northeastward, as we go into the evening and overnight hours. So you can see here, as we get into 3 a.m., we're starting to see those lighter winds here, now kind of closer to the valley, and then we start to see more of that upper divergence, right? That line has shifted now and shifted to the east, and that's where we're seeing most of it in Modoc County early tomorrow morning. And then by the time we do get into Saturday, it's not necessarily the troughs of low pressure that we're watching, but I think those showers and thunderstorms that we see in, say, Plumas County tomorrow afternoon will be more of those convective showers and thunderstorms. So that's that heating I was talking about, creating that lift. And then high pressures building in by the second half of the weekend, warmer temperatures. All right, then we go into next week. And I've got my eyes on this area of low pressure right here, and it depends on which forecast model you'll look at. But both the GFS, the American forecast model that we're seeing here, and the European forecast model have this area of low pressure here. But some are a little bit closer to us, others are a little bit farther away from us. So sometime around Thursday or Friday, or both, we could be looking at the potential, and this model, the GFS, wants to wait until Friday, but the European forecast model is bringing it in as early as Thursday. But we are seeing that potential. Now, it looks like most of it will be in the higher elevations, but could some of it make its way into parts of the valley here as we go into Friday? Not entirely out of the question. Now, this is a long ways out, folks. We are looking out 7 days, and a lot can happen between now and then. So obviously, if you are a Red Bluff Roundup fan, you're looking at this going, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? Are we going to be looking at showers and thunderstorms during the Red Bluff Roundup? Well, based on this, it's a possibility, but stay tuned. Stay tuned, because I have a feeling this will be kind of taken out of the forecast over the next couple of days. We shall see. As we get closer to that time frame, we'll get a better idea as to whether or not this is even going to pan out. All right, so you got the drier than normal conditions here that are over us, wetter than normal conditions down to our south and east, so we're still drier than normal. Now, the winds is something I was talking about. You can see as we go into noon tomorrow, there are the winds, especially on the north and west side of the valley and along the coast. That's where we expect some of the strongest winds tomorrow, and that continues even to the afternoon and evening, and the winds may pick up for the second half of the day for the eastern mountains. Now, as we go into Sunday, there's midday Sunday, some gusty winds for the valley. Winds actually not as strong for the coast, and especially if you're going to Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, the winds start to die down for the valley. Maybe it's still a bit breezy for some of the foothills east of the valley, but I think the winds for the most part are starting to die down as we go into Sunday night and into Monday. Warmer than normal conditions are in the long range forecast, but what you'll see here is we're seeing an upward trend in the low to mid 80s here for basically Sunday all the way through Thursday, and then a bit of a downward trend, but still staying above normal. But another thing you'll notice, and this is something I mentioned earlier too, no 90s just yet. So it looks like we're going to be holding on to spring for a while here, but still keeping those temperatures above normal. Now, looking at the wave heights, here's what we need to take out of this. The wave heights are going to be fairly strong. We're starting off with that small correct advisory this evening into tomorrow morning. That will be upgraded to a hazardous seas warning as we go into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, as those wave heights will increase. But we are seeing those wave heights most likely decreasing by the time we go through the day on Sunday, so improving conditions there. So once again, we look at the footprint. I think this may be a little bit too far to the south. I'd say around Redding, maybe as far south as Shingletown, but mainly Redding, Bernie, maybe Dunsmuir, maybe Mount Shasta, Fall River Mills, Aden, Elmhurst, all seeing the potential for a stray shower or thunderstorm, and even around Tennant and even Tule Lake. So you kind of get the idea there. But everywhere else, I don't think you're going to see any rainfall or any thunderstorms, obviously, too. All right, so here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast for your Saturday. Temperatures mainly in the low to even some mid-70s for those daytime highs. It's still going to be pretty mild out there. For the North Coast, Saturday, you're looking at mainly sunny, dry conditions. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s for your daytime highs. 63 for Klamath, 68 degrees for Orleans. We've got those low 70s for Hoopa and Willow Creek. We take you out to Siskiyou County for your Saturday. Temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s, even some mid-60s like Happy Camp at about 66 degrees. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast around 60, give or take. 61 for Elmhurst, 59 in Fort Bidwell and Eagleville, and it looks like 60 in California Pines as well as Canby. We take you out to the eastern mountains where we've got that chance for some afternoon showers and thunderstorms, especially for places like, I'd say, basically Chester eastward, right? I don't think we're going to see it in Fall River Mills, down the south of Mineral, Paradise, or even to the west of that. So it's mainly going to be Chester eastward, where we could see an afternoon shower or even a thunderstorm Saturday afternoon. And then by Saturday evening, Saturday night, that's all done with, and then we're dry and warmer for Sunday. Here's your Valley neighborhood forecast to the south. You can see about 77 degrees for Los Moons, basically upper 70s for those daytime highs. Taking a look at your Chico 7-day forecast, we're back in the low 80s by Sunday, low to mid 80s through Thursday, and then we do expect to see a slight dip in those temperatures. Now, what I've done here for Thursday, Friday is included partly cloudy skies. We may be including a chance for showers, especially for the higher elevations on Thursday, Friday. But again, I want to wait for a couple of more forecast model runs before I really set that in stone. Otherwise, you're looking at temperatures in the upper 70s once again for the north end of the valley here for your Saturday, although a bit cooler out towards Whiskeytown and Lakehead with temperatures in the low 70s. So there's your 7-day forecast for Redding. Temperatures low 80s on Sunday, mid 80s on Monday, basically low to mid 80s through Thursday, and then that slight dip in the temperatures as we get toward the end of next week. As mentioned, partly cloudy skies for now for Thursday, Friday, but it's not out of the question at this point to maybe even see a few showers in there as well. That's your evening update. I'll be back again on Monday. Be sure to check in with Chase Wilson. He'll have all of the latest forecast information for you on Saturday and Sunday at 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. both days. Until then, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.